very good morning, everybody. Welcome along to Autodromo di Vallelunga for the EuroNASCAR finals, the final weekend of racing in the 2020 Whelen Euro Series, which means not only is it double point, it also means at the end of this weekend we will be crowning our champions here in Italy for the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy, just outside of Rome. Fantastic to be back at this circuit. You can see clear blue skies. It's quite warm, still feels slightly autumnal, but we are in for a great weekend of racing. This fantastic circuit has undergone much renovation and extension over the years and is now one of the most modern circuits in Italy. Initially opened in 1951, it was actually a tiny dirt oval. It was converted for motor racing use and was originally a horse racing track. In late November 1951, an initial series of motorcycle meetings took place. The first car race took place later on in that year, and as the circuit continued to grow in stature, to the point that by 1957, it was converted fully to a motor racing facility. The circuit grew, there was a long extension put on in 1961, there were further renovations carried out in the 70s, and in 2005 was where we saw the last extension to this circuit. So looking forward to being back here for our second ever visit to the Autodromo di Vallelunga for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. One of the support races out there just having a free practice session on track at the moment. So whilst they are out there, it may be a good idea to show you a map of the circuit. You can see actually what the layout of Vallelunga looks like, because it has some very fast sections. It also has some quite tightened technical sections. We're racing on the full 4 kilometre, 2.5 mile circuit. Turn 1, which is Curva Grande, is very, very fast indeed, up towards the top of your screen, and then from there they're down into Chimney 1 and Chimney 2, and then as they come out of that double right hand, you can see the red line goes all the way down on that newer extension, down the straight towards Campagnaro, and then up towards the more technical sections that bring them around the lap. So it's going to be really intriguing to see how some of these drivers get on with it. Some of them, of course, were here racing last year. Others, it will be the first time they've ventured out around this circuit, but with 14 turns to try and get right. Some very quick ones, some very slow ones, some fast and flowing sections, some technical sections. It's going to be really intriguing to see what happens here at Autodromo Vallelunga over the course of this weekend. So with the support race just being checkered flag and very shortly heading back into the pit lane, let's just remind you as to what the weekend format will look like here, as it is the finals weekend of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. What we've got coming up for you now is a 30-minute qualifying session for EuroNASCAR Pro. Then there'll be a short pause between the checkered flag being shown for that and that deciding our grid for their first race of the day that will take place later on this afternoon. Then we'll be straight into qualifying for EuroNASCAR 2, a 30-minute session for those. Those two qualifying sessions set the grids for the racing that we'll see later on today. And as you can see, race 1, 75-kilometre race for EuroNASCAR Pro. EuroNASCAR 2 have a slightly shorter race, and that is our racing action that's coming up for you here today. We will then also have those second races for each one of those categories tomorrow, because it is highly likely that the championship, as ever, as has been rather traditional in NASCAR racing, will go down to the very final rounds that we'll see tomorrow, because it is double points, remember, the finals weekend. So that's the format for the weekend. And as we've now had a quick look at what the circuit looks like, maybe we should get one of our Italian drivers on the grid to show us around a lap. So we jumped on board a lap earlier on with Vittorio Garelli.
Hello NASCAR fans, welcome to Vallelunga, my home track. Welcome to the NASCAR Finals 2021. In this track I was born, actually. I did my course to get the driving license. I did many races. This is really my home track. This track is beautiful, it's high speed and also some very technical parts, slow speed corners. So it's very important to maximize your lap time for quali. Turn 1 goes downhill, and there's a little compression where you touch the chassis a bit in the ground. So it's very, very technical, and is on the limit because you go out very, very close to the gravel, and if you're a bit too fast in, then you're in the wall. So yeah, it's a bit scary, but for sure, all drivers like high speed, and I love it for sure. The Curva Roma is turn 14, is the last corner, and it gets you on a long straight. It's very important to stay in the inside because of the banking. The banking helps you to keep a good grip, and then it's very, very important to have a good mid-speed and have a very good exit to keep the speed in all the straight line. This is the good thing about NASCAR, that is open to everyone. Also for this weekend it's free tickets, so it's good to have kids and families, and for sure we will give them a very good time with autograph sessions, and I know there will be some Halloween theme DJ sets and parties, and for sure it's fun for old people but also for kids. Hey NASCAR fans, come and find us here in Rome in Vallelunga. For sure you will have very, very much fun. We'll wait for you.
So there you go, that gives you an idea as to some of the technicalities of Autodromo Vallelunga from Rome resident Vittorio Garelli. And he made a very valid point there as well. It's always great to have the families and the children here and everything else as well. And it is free ticketing for the locals here this weekend. So we are expecting, certainly tomorrow, which is the day that's probably easier for the people to get here, a very large crowd here at Autodromo Vallelunga. And you might also have been wondering as to why, when we're chatting to Vittorio Garelli, was the number 19 Not Only Motorsport car being shown. That is because for this weekend, Vittorio Garelli has moved over to Not Only Motorsport. We've seen him driving all season for Hendricks Motorsport, but a bit like Mark Goossens did, I suppose, for his home NASCAR Grand Prix at Zolder. He took the opportunity to move to Cal when it came up. Well, fresh from their first ever win as a team at Zolder last time out, and then that is what Vittorio Garelli has opted to do for his home NASCAR Grand Prix. So there's a slight delay, about a 5-minute delay, I gather, before the cars will be heading out to qualifying. So whilst we await for the cars to head out to qualify, let's just remind you of the way that the points system works for this finals weekend. I think we've got a graphic that we can bring up that shows you the way that the points will be scored over the course of all of the races this weekend, because of course in the regular season it is 40 points for a race win, it is 35 points for second and 34 points for third. I thought we'd got a graphic we could bring you up. There it is, fantastic stuff. But it is the finals weekend, so you need to look to the far right of the screen. Finals weekend, 80 points now for a win. That, everything gets doubled. 80 points for a win, 70 points for second, 68 points for third, and therefore it descends by 2 points for every place thereafter. And in the very bottom right of the screen, you'll notice it's not 4 extra points for the driver that gains the most places from their starting position to their finishing position. It's the finals weekend. That gets doubled as well. So 8 extra points up for grabs for the driver that gains the most places, i.e. does the most overtakes from where they qualified to where they finish the race. So that is the way the points will work for this weekend. And as the little bit of sweeping up is being done by one of the incidents in that preceding free practice session, that's what's causing the slight delay, just whilst the fantastic marshals deal with that. So we couldn't go motor racing without them. We always are very, very thankful for the work that they do wherever we travel around Europe. So they are working as hard as ever to try and catch up the time that's just been lost in that previous session. So that's the way the points work. What we've got coming up is the EuroNASCAR Pro qualifying. So let's have a quick look at the way the championship points stand in EuroNASCAR Pro for this weekend, because whilst there are no extra points for qualifying, the points will only be scored during the racing. It's important perhaps to know the way that the point standings are at the moment coming into this race, because of the regular season you drop your worst 2 rounds, so you discount those. Now for Loris Hazemans, he leads the championship by 21 points coming into this weekend. He didn't race at Zolder, he was out racing Xfinity on the Charlotte Roval, so he is dropping 2 zeros from the Zolder rounds. Vittorio Garelli, who we've just seen at his local track, is second in the championship standings. Vittorio Garelli, he's had a really strong season so far. He's dropping 72 points from his total, so that's why he's on 273. He's dropping 2 sixth places. He's had a really consistent season. Third in the championship, just an extra 2 points off that, is the leading junior driver that we've got in EuroNASCAR Pro. Junior drivers are for those under 25 at the beginning of the season, and that is Gianmarco Ercoli. But you can see he's just 10 points ahead of Luca Lasser, who is just 2 points ahead of the outgoing champion Alan Day, who still can mathematically win it. You have to look way down through the order. I think mathematically the first driver that can't win it is Henry Tuamala. Other than that, I think mathematically after the first race, everybody, depending on where they finish, could still be in with the championship hunt in race number 2. It's really intriguing the way it works. And the leading challenger driver is Henry Tuamala. If you wonder what the challenger trophy is, that's for amateur drivers that race in EuroNASCAR Pro. So that's the way the championship standings look. Remember, 180 points up for grabs this weekend. So mathematically, you have to look way down through the order to see as to who can still win it. But all of those points will be totted up at the end of the first race today, and then we'll work out as to who is where for tomorrow, because it is going to be really intriguing to see as to who might come out on top. Loris Hazeman's just 21 points ahead of Vittorio Garelli, and just 2 off that is Gianmarco Ercoli. I really wouldn't like to call who ultimately might be walking away with the championship. So the cars are in their garages. You can see the countdown is just showing that there are 2.5 minutes to go before we see the cars out onto circuit. Now, we did have some free practice sessions yesterday here at Autodromo Vallelunga, and it was the reigning champion, number 88, Alon Day, 3 times a EuroNASCAR champion, the Israeli for Cal Racing, that was quickest in his Chevrolet. It was a mixture of the first free practice and the second free practice, depending on the driver, that were quicker. The times were consistent across both, but Alan Day set the best overall time in the practice sessions when you combined the times of them. 1 minute 40.859 was his fastest free practice time. Gianmarco Ercoli, who is third in the championship, was second quickest on combined free practice times with a 1 minute 41.004. Luca Lasser was third quickest. Jacques Villeneuve was fourth. The championship leader, Loris Hazeman's, was only 5th quickest, and Giorgio Maggi was 6th quickest. Those were the top 6 in free practice yesterday. But with qualifying coming up, what they will certainly be doing is they will be bolting on the brand new tyres that they've been allocated by General Tyres by Hoosier Tyres for this weekend. So it's the Hoosier tyre that they run this year. They'll be bolting on the brand new tyre allocation for this qualification session, and we'll be heading out onto track to certainly, I would say, eclipse. I think we'll see a good chunk of cars down in the 1 minute 41s, possibly even into the 1 minute 39s. We'll have to wait and see as to what they might be able to do, but it's slightly cooler this morning, nice and sunny. The track temperature will be ideal. There's a very slight breeze, but because the air is cooler, that will allow the engines to work that little bit better this morning. So I think we could see some really quick qualifying times coming in when we get the session underway, which is now only about 60 seconds away. Alon Day, remember, fastest in free practice yesterday, has qualified on pole position in Italy on numerous occasions. We first saw him head towards pole position when we were at Magione in 2015. Then we moved to Adria in 2016 for the Italian round. He qualified on pole position there. We were at Franciacorta on a couple of years in 2018, 2019. Guess what? Alan Day was on pole position there. In total, either qualification sessions or setting fastest lap in race 1 of the weekend to give him pole in race 2. On 9 separate occasions, Alan Day has started the Italian NASCAR Grand Prix from pole position. The only other driver that's actually, I think, in the entry list this weekend in EuroNASCAR Pro that has started from a EuroNASCAR Pro front row before is Loris Hazeman's, who did it last year when we're here at Vallelunga. So it is very much up for grabs. So cars are lining up in the pit lane. Green flag is waved, and they will now head out onto their out lap to try and build up the temperature in the brakes and the tyres. As they head out there, Loris Hazeman's is going to be first out on track. So Sebastian Blinky-Nolan was towards the front of the queue as well. There were also a few cars that had problems yesterday in the free practice session or in the club challenge, for which we want to congratulate Gordon Barnes, who is our new 2021 Club Challenge champion. The regularity test that takes place the day before the main action. Congratulations to Gordon Barnes on scooping up the Club Challenge title for this year. There were a couple of cars that were involved in incidents in the Club Challenge, one of which was Leonardo Colavita's number 9 motorsport car, 16-year-old Italian, having it off. That car was not comparable yesterday, but we gather conversations have been going on with Biathlon Racing, who have brought another car down for him and are working with Motorsport to prepare that car currently. But we might be about in this session, I hope so. But the other car that was involved in an incident was the car that was being driven by a different driver in the Club Challenge. It was scheduled to be driven by Ulysse Delso in this qualification session and for the weekend. The RDB competition number 10 car was also caught out in an incident by the driver driving the Club Challenge. That was also irreparable. Ulysse Delso, through no fault of his own, is out for the weekend, I'm afraid. So a huge disappointment for the 2018 EuroNASCAR 2 champion. So green flags flying, cars still tricking in their way out of the pit lane. Walkers comes Dario Carzo, and a regular in the NASCAR winning Euro Series for a good number of years now. I think we first saw him back in, 2015, maybe was it? He was certainly the Legend champion back in 2015. He was the Challenger runner-up in the championship back in 2018, and has had good results so far this year, Dario Carzo. Seen him inside the top 10 in any of the races, but consistent scoring from Dario Carzo. So he has found a little bit of spare space to accelerate his way into, but first of the flying laps will now start to be put in. So over the start-finish line to start the flying lap goes Boris Hazemans, who recently announced that he will be doing a park season in the Cup Series next year. Training on the road courses, might do some of the ovals, licensing from NASCAR, but it's great that we are going to see this Hazenberg team with the new gen car as one of our first real NASCAR Winning Euro Series drivers to graduate, not full-time, but to a part-time role in the Cup Series next year. So it'll be really interesting to see how he gets on. Is he going to go for the Cup Series next year as the champion? We'll find out over the course of this weekend. So onto the first flying lap goes the championship leader, Sebastian Bleekemolen, following him around the circuit. So Giorgio Maggi isn't that far away either. So Hendricks Motorsport seem to have all their cars through the front of the queue at the start of this qualification session. We'll wait to see as long as not get some flying times and second times coming in at the moment. Looking his way through the next of the right-handers that's coming up comes Boris Hazemans. He's catching up with Dario Carzo, and that's going to compromise the lap for Hazemans. Dario Carzo didn't get out of the way. That would have compromised the first lap, unfortunately, for Boris Hazemans. Doesn't really compromise the lap for Sebastian Bleekemolen that sits behind. But as they go through Formentino and up towards the S's, flip left, flip right, way out to the S's, and then towards Roma, that final corner, that very important corner that we heard Vittorio Garelli talk about. These will be the first flying laps coming in, as I say, for the number 7 car. Yeah, I think that Boris Hazemans had to back the car off as he went in towards, what was it, a semaphore, wasn't it? So, through over the start-finish line he comes. First lap chalk into the book, which, unfortunately, we've now got the lifetime of working. Boris Hazemans popped in on 1 minute 49.152 already. That is already way down to where I thought they would be. So, good lap time put in by them. We should see the cars going up now. Maybe 10 seconds quicker than that, though. Joe Amato goes quickest for the moment at the wheel of the number 55 car. Boris Hazemans second quickest, Sebastian Bleekemolen third. Vittorio Garelli does no NASCAR Grand Prix. The number 90 car goes fourth. Switching over to not only motorsport for this weekend. Clear lap this time through. Not that many cars taken through the circuit as yet. We're still opting to. This is now to the pit lane. Live timing though was better, unfortunately, has now fallen by the race line. Currently, we're keeping an eye on what Vittorio Garelli is doing at the moment. He is quicker through the first sector than a few cars out there, so for the 27-year-old Italian, through the S's he'll go. up towards that banked hairpin at Roma, but he's going to dive into the pit lane. So Torrigarelli, fourth quickest, his best time 1 minute 50.2, heading towards the pit lane. There goes number 55, which is Club Motorsport car for Fabrizio Amata, 47-year-old. He's been racing in the NASCAR Enduro Series 2013. Over the start finish line goes Amata, and tops 1 minute 49.0. 5.0 from Armetta. So that will put him fourth quickest currently. There's not that many cars out there at the moment. That break almost runs wide there, heading up towards Jiminy. Lick his way. Jiminy doing and through the unnamed left-hander down the straight. That speed's really begin to build now into the braking area for Campagnano. Snatch brake, the unloaded wheel again, so he's pushing hard, is Fabrizio. Looking at the wheel of that machine to try and propel the Camaro up towards the next of the corner, which is Ferrate. Giorgio Maggi's pushing on as well at the wheel of the number 18 Hendricks Ford. He's second quickest in this session at the moment, 1 minute 42.050 from Giorgio Maggi, as Maurice Hazemans goes to the top of the times with a 141.750. Hazemans at the wheel of the number 18 Hendricks Ford, his teammate, is second quickest, and it's another sort of Hendricks semi-supported car, the Team Bleaky Molan car, that is got the technical support from Hendricks. Well, Sebastian Bleaky Molan that's third quickest at the moment. So that's the top three. Now Giorgio Maggi is a little bit slower through both first and second sectors on this lap. I don't think he's particularly going to improve, or if he does, won't be by much as he heads over the start-finish line. And he does improve. It's a 1 minute 41.678 from Giorgio Maggi. It's about 0.6 of a second shy of Loris Hazemans. This car here, Sebastian Bleaky Molan, is third quickest currently. 1 minute 41.933 from Sebastian Bleaky Molan, who's had a really solid season, Sebastian. And on the podium, 3 separate occasions at Valencia, at Brands Hatch in the UK, and at Most in the Czech Republic. So he's had a good season, has Sebastian, and I think the 2 scores that he's dropped out of his regular season were 2 finishes that were outside of the top 10. Other than that, all the scores he's counting to his tally would see him lie 8th in the championship coming into this weekend, 48 points off the lead. Everything else is a top 10 finish from him, and I think 4 of them are top 6s, top 5s. So it really has been a solid season for Bleaky Molan. 1 minute 41.933 is best so far, though. Fabrizio Ametta still 4th, Yevgeny Sokolovsky 5th. 6th is a new driver to the series for this weekend, which is Luca Yarami, the young 17-year-old Finn. Getting caught up behind a little bit of traffic heading towards the end of the lap. So is he going to walk the lap and come in? Yes, he is. So into the pit lane he comes. The car he was caught up behind was Federico Monti. Federico continuing on his merry way. Now here's Yevgeny Sokolovsky. Arguably the busiest driver in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, because he competes in both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2, so he'll be doing every single race that we've got over the course of this weekend, Yevgeny, as he has done all season. Pushing hard at the wheel of the number 48 car. 5th quickest, the Ukrainian, uses all of the curbs. The 42-year-old turning his way through the right-hander. He was runner-up in the Legend Trophy in 2020, was Yevgeny Sokolovsky. That's the category in EuroNASCAR 2 that exists for drivers aged over 40. And for Sokolovsky, the last lap he did was a 1 minute 41.364. 1 minute 44, sorry, 1.364. Sokolovsky running 5th quickest at the moment. A few more cars starting to trickle out of the pit lane now as well. So Luca Lasser has now appeared out on track, the number 64 car for Speedhouse Racing. We've also got out on track now Davide Dallara, the number 89 car for Not Only Motorsport. 23 Henry Tuamala also heads out on track now. He's the leading driver in the Challenger Trophy, lies 11th overall in the standings coming into this weekend. There's still the likes of Jacques Villeneuve that we haven't seen out on track yet. Francesco Sini we haven't seen out on track yet. Gianmarco Ercoli hasn't been out yet. Alon Day hasn't been out on track yet as well. Alon all season has tended to leave it quite late in the sessions before he's appeared, largely because he wants to save the tyres. Do as few laps as you can in qualifying, means that the set that you then will utilise for the rest of the weekend will be in prime condition for the racing. So come out, get the quick lap in immediately. That's the idea, and that's why you see the likes of Floris Hazemans and Giorgio Maggi and Sebastian Bleekemolen, the top three, all in the pit lane at the moment. They've done their quick lap. For the moment, they're happy with it. So here's Luca Nurami, turning his way through Chimney 1 and Chimney 2. So the driver who competed last year, he was the champion in the Legends Trophy in Finland in the semi-pro category. He was also champion in the Porsche Sprint Challenge for the North European zone last year as well, having finished third in that in the previous year, making his debut in the series. At the moment, he's holding up his fellow countryman there. Tuamala, desperate to try and squeeze his way through. So the teenage Finn lets the 32-year-old through. Lock brakes all of the way on the unloaded wheels continually on these cars. That might hurt them over the weekend. The unloaded wheels, though, it shouldn't do too much damage to it, but if you keep locking it throughout the course of qualifying and then the first race, you really might be struggling a little bit towards the end of the weekend, because you have to utilise the same tyres the whole weekend, really. So, what can Nurami do? Who blends out of the throttle is the answer, so he's going to abort that back, the 17-year-old. Former kart racer, had a very successful karting career, did Luca, racing in both the FIA CIK European and World Karting Championships. He's really only just recently graduated 2 cars. So Hazelman's still quickest. Luca Lasserre there goes third quickest. So up to third quickest goes Luca Lasserre. 1 minute 41.777 from the double former champion, the Frenchman. Davide Dallara's gone 6th. We're looking at Henry Tuamala, who did a 1:44.156 as his best lap of the session. The live timing system that I'm utilising seems to be a bit troublesome this morning. So happily, the time's caught on the left-hand side of the screen for assist. So 41.156 from Henry Tuamala. Romain Iniesta now up inside the top 10 on his first flying lap, and you can see more and more cars feeding their way out now. So 54, Gianmarco Ercole is out, 12, Francesco Sini is out, 22, Nicola Rocca in his newly liveried car for this weekend is out. So we're slowly seeing everybody heading out onto the track now. Still no Alain Day as yet, though. Still no Jacques Villeneuve. Still no Patrick Lamery. There's still a few drivers. And as yet, I don't think we've seen the 77 out, have we? Which is the car that's been borrowed by Leonardo Colavita, renumbered as number 9. So it depends on where they are with sorting the car out, setting it up, renumbering it, and everything else that they've got to do following his car being destroyed in Club Challenge yesterday. Tuamala still pressing on. Jacques Villeneuve is out now on track as well. So Jacques Villeneuve, we can see, has just gone 9th quickest. He's down to 10th quickest. What can Tuamala do? Because whilst others around are improving, the Finn has now dropped down outside of the top 10 at the wheel of this number 23 car. There goes Luca Lasserre over the start-finish line. Third quickest, 1 minute 41.777. He was a little bit slower than that time through. Luca Lasserre, his first flying lap was the quickest so far in the hands of the double former champion, the Frenchman, who had a great weekend last time out at Zolder, where he scored 40 points in one of the races, maximum points. Didn't claim the win because the non-championship driver, Stevie Longines, claimed the win, but Luca picked up the points for 40 points, finishing second on the road in reality, but arguably a win, you could say, as the championship unfolds, and was third in the other race as well. He stayed well and truly out of the way, actually, so sensible driving there by Luca. He's been around long enough to know what he needs to do. Stayed out of harm's way for cars that are on a quick lap. So for the 2009 and 2010 champion, he can continue round on this lap, but this one won't really set the world alight, will it, having blended off the throttle. So he's going to stay third, and we'll look to try and push on the next lap he'll be doing. Tuamala's still pushing on at the wheel of 23. No improvement for him. I think that's Davide Dallara he's got behind him on track. We're at the start-finish line now. Villeneuve has moved his way up into second place. 1 minute 41.444 from Jacques Villeneuve at the wheel of the number 5 car. pushing hard. Jack Villeneuve, he was also out testing the next generation NASCAR as part of the support that he is giving to Norris Hasemans and the team that are graduating to Cup Series next year. So Jacques, 50 years of age nowadays. Amazingly, it was just 24 years ago, earlier on this week, that he claimed his Formula 1 title. Amazing where that 24 years has gone, and he's still as quick as ever, isn't he? Second quickest at the moment, 1 minute 41.444 for Jacques Villeneuve, who had a really good run here last year, if memory serves me correctly, before the car retired on him. He was leading the race, I think, when he had problems with the car. Otherwise, it could have been a win for him, but wasn't to be on that occasion. He'd dearly like to correct that over the course of this weekend. He hasn't done the full season, Jacques Villeneuve. His best result this season has been in Grobnik in Croatia, where he finished third in the first of the two races there. He was fourth at Most. As you say, he, due to other commitments, has missed a chunk of the racing this year. The UK round at Brands Hatch, and last time out at Zolder, he wasn't present either. So Villeneuve was second quickest. Hercules just gone quicker, so 1 minute 41.087 from Gianmarco Hercule. And Jacques Villeneuve better that this time. He was just about to come over the start-finish line and conclude the lap. Alan Day has gone fourth quickest, the reigning champion. There goes Alan Day through turn number one, so quick through Curva Grande they go. Amazing how quick that section is, as Vittorio Garelli mentioned. You know, very scary, but great fun through Chimney 1, Chimney 2. All looks neat and tidy from the number 88 Monster Energy back machine, prepared by Cal Racing in the hands of the 3 times champion in 2017 and 2018, and picked up the title last year as well in 2020. Had a tough time of it this year though, Alan. He has been quick, just on a couple of occasions there's been a few mechanical issues with the car. So that is why, coming into this weekend, he is 35 points adrift of the championship leader, Alan Day. He's had 3 wins though so far this season. Brands Hatch, Most and Zolder. And at the moment, 7th quickest now as others around him improve. Good lap put in by Patrick Lamely. You can see the number 66 car there. He's just gone 6th quickest. So Hercule to the top of the times now with a 1 minute 40.856. Villeneuve going 2nd quickest with a 1 minute 40.973. Norris Hasemans down to 3rd. What can Alan Day do? Well, Alan Day is going to stick with the lap, so he's obviously happy that it might just be stringing together. He's certainly quick through the middle part of the lap. Hooks the curd on that slightly banked final corner Roma. And as he comes over the start-finish line, where does that put Alan Day? He goes to the top of the times with a 1 minute 40.701 from Alan Day. But that is better just a split second later by Jacques Villeneuve, so it was short-lived, the provisional pole. Villeneuve at the moment heading towards pole position with a 1 minute 40.410. And there is the number 9, right, so there is Leonardo Colavita. So fantastic work by everybody to get that number 9 car out. I don't think it was even here at the circuit. So I think when he smashed up his regular car from Vic 1 in from Vic Motorsport in the Club Challenge yesterday, that car was irreparable. Vic Motorsport didn't have a spare car. DF1 Racing said, look, we've got one, we can go and get it. So I think they've been back to, I don't know the full story, I don't know whether they had that car with them, but I think the story is they've been back to Austria, picked up the car, brought it here, and then had to re-prep it for Leonardo Colavita. But hats off to everybody for even getting that car out there and even managing to put the right numbers on it as well. They've had to work tirelessly hard. That's the car that we've regularly seen Mark Goossens and Gilles Linster racing over the course of this season. Mark racing in another championship, trying to stitch that up this weekend, and Gilles now concentrating on ensuring he's on the grid for a full season in 2022. It's been great to see him back in 2021 for a part season, but a full season in 2022 is what he's now concentrating on. Now, there was a little bit of smoke or fluid or something just coming out of that number 9 car there. Not sure if that might be fuel filler, maybe, where they perhaps overfilled the car. Just keeping an eye on it. So Villeneuve still fastest at the moment. Alan Day's 2nd quickest. Leonardo Colavita has really only just completed his first lap at the wheel of the strange coloured. I think we'll see that car out in a different colour over the course of the weekend. And Hazelman's is back out as well, so he's done his quick lap, remember. He was on provisional pole position, he's parked it up, he's let the session unfold a little bit, and now Loris Hazelman's, the former champion, of course, let's not forget Loris Hazelman's was the EuroNASCAR Pro champion back in 2019, is back out for another roll of the dice, so he needs some clear track here to accelerate his way into. Is he going to get caught up a little bit behind the number 22 car, which is going to be Nicola Rocca? So no, through goes the Dutchman, through and past Nicola Rocca, who's at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, and off in the background goes Giorgio Maggi. So Maggi way off at Chimney 1 in the background. Let's hope that he kept the car out of the barriers. So, in fact, well, he kept it out of the barriers, he just didn't keep it out of the gravel, so he does manage to retake to the circuit, but that was a strange old mistake there. You do carry a lot of speed up towards Jiminy. But for Hazelman's, he's now down into 5th place. As we've had a further improvement, I think, for Vittorio Garelli that time through. Yeah, Garelli improving with a 1 minute 40.935, now puts him 4th quickest. There's Nicola Rocca, his home NASCAR Grand Prix, 27-year-old Italian. 1 minute 41.231 from him at this wheel of this re-liveried number 22 for this weekend. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? Looks like a red version of Kyle Busch's car. Yeah, fantastic new livery for that one. And the 66 has got a new livery for this weekend as well, which is Patrick Lamry's car. There's a good replay of, yeah, whatever happened there. Nicola Rocca, I think, was going slowly, and maybe Giorgio Maggi just got caught out, really, by what was going on ahead of him. Thankfully, though, no real harm done to the number 18 car in the hands of the Swiss driver. So Rocca's having another go at a flying lap, aborted that one. Can he improve on 6th position currently? 21 cars so far have taken part in the session. Federico Monti is the slowest of those, just not shown on the banner on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment. And Nicola Rocca pushing on, so round through Curva Grande. Speed accelerates as he heads in towards the braking area for Chimney 1. You'll brake as late as you can. Into the apex, let the car run wide, and then keep the arc as you turn your way through Chimney 2. And then straight away through the unnamed left-hand kink, and the speeds really build now as they head towards Campagnano. We go back to keeping an eye on what's going on with Vittorio Garelli, who is currently 4th quickest Roman at the wheel of this number 90 car for this weekend. They took the opportunity for his home NASCAR Grand Prix to move over to Not Only Motorsport. This car having claimed a win at the previous round in EuroNASCAR 2. First win for the driver, Nave Talor. First win for the team as well, Not Only Motorsport. So Vittorio Garelli, if he wanted to do good things for both himself and his championship aspirations and the team this weekend, and at the moment, 4th in qualifying is not a bad result at all, and he's still pushing on this lap. So down the long straight again, that brings him up towards Zarate, braking hard for the tight left-hander. Then Trinchea, which is the next of the corners he'll be heading up towards. And then from there, then starts to get tight and technical and twisty. So through Semafora, which is the literal translation of traffic light into Italian. And from there, it's towards Corantino, a tighter left-hander, really tight left-hander. And from there, it's out and up towards the sweeps left and right at the S's. After that, it's just the short straight. And he's going to stick with the lap. He'll continue on the right-hand side of the circuit as we look at it. Yeah, he does. He continues with the lap, doesn't peel his way towards pit lane entry. So Vittorio Garelli clearly happy that the sectors are doing what they need to do. However, there were yellow flags there because Bernardo Manfreda's had a spin going around through Roma. Garelli is now down into 5th position as Nicola Rocca improved last time through with a 1 minute 40. 3rd for Garelli. Great lap from him. 1 minute 40.450 from Vittorio Garelli. Now, Bernardo Manfredi, you wonder what he's doing. What he's trying to do is get some visibility as to what's heading towards him. Now he can see what's coming towards him. That's why he's going the wrong way on circuit. He'll spin the car round, but you can't do it when you can't see what's coming because you just don't know. So there are yellow flags warning everybody, but that car needs to really now get throttled up, get spun around in the right direction. Bernardo can carry on his merry way. So Villeneuve still quickest. Here comes Romain Iniesta at the wheel of the number 46 car. Back with us again this weekend. Another driver that's had part seasons, Romain Iniesta. Hasn't done the full season. Really only started, I think Moss was the first rounds that we saw him at Remain in Ieta. Another driver that's been around this championship for a good number of years now. Driving hard, pushing to see whether he can squeeze any more out of the Marco Schneep Motorsport prepared Chevy. And for the 41-year-old Frenchman, doing a good job of it at the moment. Former runner-up in the Formula Ford Championship in France was Remain in Ieta, raced at Le Mans, raced in the Le Mans Series, has done the Daytona 24-hour, I think, as well as Remain in Ieta. He has been a regular or irregular, you could argue, part of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for a good number of years now. He was third in the series back in 2015, which still, I think, remains as his best overall championship finish, Remain. So what can the number 46 to car do? His best so far is a 1 minute 41.678, to put him 9th on the grid provisionally. Royce Hazelmans is back out again and looking to try and improve on a 1 minute 40.347. So that is just a whisker shy of Alan Day's fastest time in this session, and is only just a 1/10 of a second quicker than Vittorio Garelli. It's all rather tight. What have we got at the top? 5 cars separated by 0.4 of a second at the moment. Around what is a 2.5 mile or 4 kilometre lap, so that is close to say the least. Royce Hazelmans pushing hard, sector through the middle. He's lost a bit of time through the middle sector here, Loris Hazelmans. So I'm not sure how much quicker the lap will be. It depends on what he does with the rest of it, really. Alan Day is out there looking to try and improve on what is pole position. 1 minute 40.041 now from the Israeli, having gone quicker than Jacques Villeneuve's time by a 1/10 of a second. So Alan Day heading towards potentially what would be a 10th start from pole position in Italy. Amazing, isn't it, really? Started from pole position at the Italian NASCAR Grand Prix 9 times previously, and 4 of those 9 have come through qualifying on pole. 5 of the 9 have come through setting fastest laps in the first race of the weekend to give him pole for day 2. It really has been an amazing career so far in NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for Alan Day. 3 times a champion, more pole positions than anybody else in the series, is heading and knocking on the door to beating the record of Fred Gabion for claiming the most podiums in races. He's already the driver that's top of the all-time win list in EuroNASCAR Pro, so there aren't many things he can rewrite in the record books, and he's still pushing hard. Look how hard he was trying as they came out of the S's. The Monster Energy Chevy all on the grass. Dirty tyres means he couldn't quite hook the apex up round through Roma, and with 1 minute and 20 to go, over the start-finish line goes Alan Day, and the lap time is no quicker that time through. He was 6/10 of a second slower, so 1 minute 40.0 is probably as good as it's going to get now for Alan Day. Still sticking with this lap though, probably stick with the early part of it, see what the deltas say, and then you can decide what you're doing from there on in. Way out of Chimney 1, round through the sweep at Chimney 2, and start to turn left. Backed off this lap, I think, is he? A little bit. Yeah, he has. He's backed the lap off, so that will be it for Alan Day. Next time he comes round, there'll be no more time left on the clock, so he stays out of harm's way. Lets his Cal Racing teammate go through, which I think was the car of Gianmarco Ercoli. There is number 56 car. It's not, it's Davide Amaduzzi, who is back in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for this weekend. Last time we saw him was 2013 in the series, so it's great to see Davide back. A driver who's got huge amounts of experience. Did plenty of racing in sports cars over the years. He's got Leonardo Colavita pushing him around the corner. But Davide Amaduzzi has raced lots of sports cars, Pirelli World Challenge, FIA GT1 and GT2, GT Italia. But he's also got plenty of stock car racing experience as well, not just in EuroNASCAR, but we've seen him out in Arca Trucks in the past, and in K&M Pro West he's taken up some races in that previously. Great to see him back for the first time in donkey's years, really, 2013. So most of the cars now heading towards the pit lane. Checkered flag has come out. There might be the odd one or two that are still on a flying lap, but I think most have perhaps now decided that they've got the best out of their tyres in this session, and that is Hazeman's. Hazeman's has had a spin out on track, has perhaps been pushing to try and get the pole, but he's put the car in the gravel. He's going to be able to dig it out. That is a very uncharacteristic mistake from the current championship leader, Loris Hazeman's. So trying to push to find those extra few tenths, and it didn't quite work in the end. So Loris Hazeman's, I think, being told to stay offline, stay off the racing line, don't drop the gravel all over the track on the racing line, stay out of harm's way. So he will thread his way up towards the S's and then peel his way in towards the pit lane, and that will be then his session done. So he will head his way in towards the pit lane, and there'll be about a 10-minute period whilst the NASCAR Pro drivers get out of the car and the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers get in, and then they will have their same qualification session. They will have a separate tyre allocation as well, so the tyres will be changed by the teams, and they will head out on their newly allocated Hoosier tyres. So with the checkered flag out there, I think just the last car to take the checkered flag. I think we are looking at the body language of the marshal on the starters rostrum. I think we're about done, so I can guide you through the times. We've just lost the graphic. I'll guide you through the times, and therefore this will also, subject to any other amendments that need doing, give you the grid in reality for the race later on today. So Alain Day should start from pole position, 1 minute 40.041, and Jacques Villeneuve will line up alongside him. You can see he's just a tenth of a second slower with a 1 minute 40.139. Third quickest, Loris Hazeman's, 1 minute 40.347, and fourth quickest, Vittorio Garelli, moving over to Not Only Motorsport for this weekend, 1 minute 40.450. Gianmarco Ercoli, the leading junior driver in the championship, third overall in the standings, will be fifth, and Giorgio Maggi is sixth. And it'll be Nicola Rocca and Patrick Lamery with a great qualifying session that will line up on row number 4. Romain Iniesta and Sebastian Bleekemolen on row 5. Luca Lasser and Fabrizio Amata on row number 6, which I think means that Fabrizio is the leading challenger driver that we will have on the grid. Row 7 of the grid will be Davide Dallara and Henry Tuamala. Row 8 should be Francesco Cini and Leonardo Colavita, who did really well to, with not many laps in qualifying, driving an unusual car. All of the hard work done by the team see him line up 16th overall on the 8th row of the grid. Row 9 of the grid will be Davide Amaduzzi and Evgen Sokolovsky, and then the one driver you don't quite see on the graphic there on the left-hand side of the screen will be Federico Monti, who is going to line up 21st on the grid, and that should be subject to any further amendments that might need doing, but that in reality should give us the grid unless something has happened in qualifying that we didn't see and anybody's given any sort of grid penalty or time penalty, but that will give you the grid. And remember, that is the race that comes up later on today. We see the EuroNASCAR Pro race coming up. If you're watching Central European summertime, it will be, the stream will go live at 3:10 this afternoon. If you're watching Eastern Daylight Time in the US, it's been a very early morning for you. Thank you for joining us, but at 7:10 in the morning, we will see the EuroNASCAR Pro competitors back out there. But don't leave us yet, because of course we've got EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying coming up in just a few moments' time. Bit of sweeping up being done, and whilst that is happening, let me just remind you as to, if you didn't see the social media yesterday, our calendar for the 2022 championship season was released yesterday, and I think we've got a graphic that we can bring you that will show you as to what the 2022 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series calendar looks like. An exciting calendar it will be, which will see us heading around Europe again, with plenty of racing to look forward to, and some very different things planned also for 2022. So just hanging on, see if we can get that graphic up, and then, as I say, I can guide you through the way that the championship will work for next year, because we will be, there we go. So we start in Germany. So Hockenheimring in Germany on the 9th and the 10th of April will be the opening round of the 2022 championship season. Then we'll head to our traditional home for the Spanish NASCAR Grand Prix, Circuit Ricardo Tormo. At Brands Hatch in the UK for the third weekend of racing, rounds 5 and 6. And then a summer Italian all-star race. Details on that not released as yet, but keep your eye on our social media, whether it be Twitter, Instagram or Facebook, or of course EuroNASCAR.com, because we will be announcing exactly what that summer Italian all-star race looks like over the course of the coming weeks and months. Then back to the main championship, we will head to Most in the Czech Republic before we then see future final rounds. We've lost the graphic, unfortunately. Then we'll see future final rounds after Most in the Czech Republic. We will then move on elsewhere around Europe. And if we can
Pro Pole Award winner Alan Day. Amazing qualifying, great lap, but it was very close at the top of the standings, right?
Yeah, to be honest, when I came out from the pit lane and I did my laps, I thought, all right, that's probably a pole position. I asked not to give me information, but I wanted to concentrate. And then suddenly he said, I'm just P3 or something, so I really became nervous. And then I will start pushing the hell out of this car. That was, yeah, what can I say? Great job from Cal Racing team. They bring an amazing Monster Energy car. Let's hope that we will continue the same form also in the races.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
There we go, nice to hear from Alan Day down there with Andre. Apologies, I didn't know the interview was coming there, so that was why we went straight to the interview and I stopped what I was talking about. But if we go back to the 2022 EuroNASCAR calendar, we've just gone through that. We're heading towards Autodromo Most for rounds 7 and 8 of the series. Hopefully the graphic will come back up as well. There we go. Then we'll head to Circuit Zolder. The finals, though, next year will take place at Grobnik. Over the course of the weekend, final weekend of October. And look at that, bottom right-hand corner, something very, very, very different. Details on this to be announced, but testing was done with a NASCAR on snow and ice over the course of the winter last year, and it has been decided that we are going to have some sort of winter classic event. Details on that will be released in due course. That's why it's important to follow all of our social media outlets, but NASCAR's on ice. What's not to like? Looking forward to that one. Have no idea on the format. I genuinely do not know the format, but wow, that is going to be spectacular is all I can say. Spectacular. Jerome Galpin, who is the CEO of NASCAR, did a little bit of testing out at, I think it was Val Thorens he went to on studded tyres and thoroughly enjoyed the experience and thought, yeah, this might work as an event, you know, and there you go. From what initially sounded to me like a crazy idea, we're doing it, and why not? It is going to be a world first. NASCAR's on ice. Looking forward to that one. So under beautiful sunshine here in Italy, we're not that far from Rome, from the capital. We are having our second ever visit to Autodromo Vallelunga, and we've seen Alan Day qualify on pole position. We've just heard from him. That is now 10 times that he will be starting from pole position in a NASCAR race in Italy. And if he sets the fastest lap, remember, in the race later on today, that would give him pole position for Sunday's race. So he has been so dominant in terms of starting from the front row of the grid in all of the Italian races that we've had, going right the way back to, what, 2013, when we were at Monza. Under Villarino started on pole, 3 occasions in his career in Italian NASCAR races. Eddie Cheever III managed to do it at Magione for the first ever race that we had there. Fred Cabillon has started from pole before. Loris Hasemans has, and Lasse Sorensen has, but Villarino 3 times, Eddie Cheever just once, Gabillon just once, Lasse Sorensen just once, Loris Hasemans just once. Every other race we've ever had in Italy, Alan Day has been the pole sitter. Amazing. And he's had something like 8 fastest laps and 7 wins in Italy as well in NASCAR. So he really has been, come the Italian round, wherever it's been held, whether it be Monza, Magione, whether it be Adria, Franciacorta, or Vallelunga, he's been the man to beat. In fact, Vallelunga, I think of all of the circuits that we visited, is prior to this weekend one he'd never had a pole lap, he'd never had a fastest lap, and he's never had a win, because he didn't do it last year on our first visit. He didn't have any of those. So we'll have to wait and see. He's done the pole. Can he set a fastest lap? Could he get a win this weekend? We'll find out. So cars are being swapped over. We will then see the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers heading out onto the circuit for their qualification session. And whilst we await their arrival for them to head out onto circuit, maybe we could have a quick look at how the standings in the championship look in EuroNASCAR 2, because again, whilst there are no championship points up for grabs in qualifying, it sort of sets the scene really for our finals weekend for these cars that are coming out onto circuit, and to mathematically who could do what in the championship this weekend. So the championship so far, I think, has only been led by one driver since the beginning of the season, really, that being Tobias Dauenhauer. Martin Dubeck was leading it, I think, after Valencia, because he won both of the races there, but Tobias Dauenhauer has been the man to beat. So the cars heading out there will not bring you that championship score as yet, because we've got the cars heading out onto their out laps in reality. Now, in free practice yesterday, we also saw 2 free practice sessions for EuroNASCAR 2. And on combined times, again, it was a mixture of session 1 was quickest for some drivers, session 2 was quicker for other drivers, but the quickest car on combined practice, where you look at the times across both of those sessions, was the championship leader, the number 50 Hendricks Ford of Tobias Dauenhauer, who set a best time in session 2 for him of a 1 minute 41.370. Second quickest in free practice was the Academy Alex Caffey Motorsport number 1 car of Cypriot driver Vladimiris Choitsis, who was about 0.4 of a second slower. The number 66 DF1 Racing Chevy of the Belgian driver Simon Palat was 3rd quickest. Martin Dubeck, the number 7 car we were looking at a few moments earlier, was 4th quickest. 22 Justin Kuntz was 5th, and Brands Hatch winner Advait Dioda, the Indian driver, was 6th quickest. Those were the cars that were in the top 6. This car here was 7th quickest, Max Lancer, in what was the combined free practice sessions from yesterday. So, EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying session underway in this equivalent race meeting last year. Tobias Dauenhauer was pretty much dominant, it's fair to say. Tobias Dauenhauer, who ultimately finished runner-up in the championship last year to Vittorio Garelli. Tobias Dauenhauer for the Delphex NASCAR American Festival of Rome as the event was matched last year here at our first ever trip to Vallelunga. Tobias Dauenhauer started both races with pole position, set fastest lap in both races, and won both races. So it was a clean sweep of wins in EuroNASCAR 2. And can Tobias Dauenhauer do that here this weekend? We'll have to wait and see. So Max Lancer onto a flying lap. Great to see Max back behind the wheel of the number 88 Cal Racing Chevy. So having just been on pole position in the hands of Alan Day, the car now is in the process of qualifying for the EuroNASCAR Car 2 race in the hands of 41-year-old Italian Max Lancer. Former motorcycle racer was Max. He's raced in GT Italia in the past. And part of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for, what, 3-4 seasons now. 2018, I think it was the first season that we saw Max in the NASCAR Euro Series. Only did a part season last year because of injury, sustained as a result of an on-circuit incident, a crash that he had in one of the rounds. But is back and has been solid this year, got to say. Max Lancer has impressed me with the way he's gone about things and is leading the Legend standings at the moment. The Legend trophy is for drivers aged over 40 that race in this category. He is 11th overall in the standings and still only 77 points off the overall championship leader Tobias Dauenhauer. So Max Lancer looking to try and slot in the first of the flying laps. We do have one new driver joining the series for this weekend, and that will be the number 4 Ice Boys Chevrolet Camaro, which is Ossi Peltola, the Finnish driver, who's only just recently graduated from the likes of European and World Karting, having competed in the FIA CIK Championship and did cars last year, formerly called V1600 in Finland, back in, what, 2019. So he's the only new drive we've got on the grid for this weekend, and because it's his first weekend of racing, he's non-championship scoring, so he'll get ignored when it comes to championship points. Here comes number 8, which is Paolo Valeri. Champion in the Italian Cup Division 2 last year was Paolo Valeri, moving over to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for this year, so a rookie in the series. There goes Pierluigi Veronese. Now, we didn't see that car out in the EuroNASCAR Pro session. It's just Pierluigi that's driving that car. Double V Racing, part owner of that team is Pierluigi Veronese. Finished 7th in EuroNASCAR 2 back in 2019, which was his last full season in the category. Sat out last year, did Pierluigi Veronese. But it's great to see him back in the Double V Racing team, the 33-year-old Italian. And nice to see the livery on that car. It is Halloween this weekend, and he's got drawings that children have done, sellotaped or stickered to the bonnet and the side of the car, actually. So really taking in the spirit. You can see them all the way down the side of the car. You can see them on the nose of the car as well. It'd be good to get some close-ups of that maybe on the grid later on. So wonderful children's drawings, Halloween drawings that they've done. Ghosts and pumpkins and vampires and whatever else are on there, witches. So yeah, really nice that they've done that. They've got some clear vinyl that they've stuck over the top of the pieces of paper to keep them on the car. So Veronese just about to start a flying lap. You can see him doing a little bit of weaving from side to side. His home NASCAR Grand Prix, of course, so there'll be plenty of support for Pierluigi here this weekend. And with 25 minutes, just under of the half an hour remaining, it's plenty of time to get the quick laps in. Fastest we've had so far is a 1 minute 42 from Tobias Dauenhauer. So he is at the moment provisionally on pole position, but I think that was just his first flying lap for Tobias Dauenhauer. There's the number 9 car again of Leonardo Colavita back out, so he's getting some extra laps in. He's competing in both categories this weekend, both EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2. And that was sideways, raising the dust there for Tobias Dauenhauer, the man who is provisionally on pole position. That was raising the dust as he came out of Campanera. Just dropped the left rear tyre, left rear Hoosier tyre beyond the curb line. Bit of dust flicking up, but not sure that would have compromised his run too badly heading back down the straight. He's now into the technical section of it though, as he heads up towards what is Tornantino, the tight left-hander, and then up towards the exit. Look how wide he runs coming out of the corner. He uses all of the curb that he possibly can, whatever's been agreed for track limits for this weekend. And Tobias Dauenhauer again here, just look all the way out onto the curb line and onto the green painted tarmac beyond. Last lap he did was a 1 minute 42.091, I think. Not seeing the graphic on the left of the screen that's giving us the times at the moment, but Tobias Dauenhauer already top of the times. Here he goes over the start-finish line. And does he go any quicker? Not sure he did on that lap. No, so he still is fastest of all. Francesco Garisto at the wheel of the number 42 car is second quickest. Nave Talor, who won last time out at Zolder, is third quickest at the moment, the number 90 car in the hands of the Israeli. Martin Dubet, the Czech driver for Hendricks Motorsport, the number 7 is fourth. Max Lancer, we've seen his number 88 Monster Energy car out there, is fifth. And 23, which is Levi Lidekanthu, the Scandinavian, completes the top 6 at the moment. So here's Francesco Garisto about to complete a lap. Second quickest currently. About to thread his way over the start-finish line. 1 minute 43.396, gets better with a 1 minute 42.592 from Francesco Garisto. So a better lap, but that does not improve his position provisionally on the grid at the moment. So he'll keep pushing on, see whether he might be able to squeeze anything further out of the car. So Francesco Garisto still pushing on. Looks neat and tidy so far this lap. A bit of traffic to deal with as well. That's one of the Cal Racing cars that he's just headed past, but I don't think that would have compromised his run too much. So Garisto, sector time, still looking reasonably good. This is Justin Kuntz, the German driver. 24 years of age now is Justin. He is lying 6th in the EuroNASCAR 2 standings coming into this weekend. He's only had one podium so far this year. He's had loads of top 6s, plenty of top 10s, but only one podium. That was 3rd place in Croatia at Grobnik. But for Justin Kuntz, who would like to finish off the season on a high, he is 53 points off the championship lead coming into this weekend. Remember, it's 80 for a race win in this re-liveried car for this weekend. Looks fantastic, I've got to say. Both the DF1 cars have been re-liveried for this weekend. Both look absolutely superb. There's the other one just up the road, isn't it? So yeah, the two DF1 cars running nose to tail around the circuit, but Tobias Dauenhauer quickest of all. Nave Talor second quickest now. Pleased that the banner's come up on the left of the screen, because I'm still having trouble with the timing systems that I'm looking at. So Tobias Dauenhauer, 1 minute 41.135, is quicker than he went yesterday in free practice. Vladimir Choitsis second quickest now with a 1 minute 42.039, which means that that car there, number 90 Nave Talor, fresh from his first ever career win at Zolder last time out, is third quickest with that 1:42.404. Martin Dubek, Francesco Garisto and Max Lantz are scheduled to line up inside the top 6 currently. Still only 14 cars have taken to the track. We're expecting something like 22 in total. So there's still quite a few of them are doing what they would usually do and save their tyres. And I've got to say, down there in 12th place, first weekend of NASCAR racing, Ossi Peltola has done a good job so far. 1 minute 46.8 918 at a circuit he's probably never driven before, in a car that will feel rather unfamiliar, in a brand new team for him as well. So not bad so far. More to come, I'm sure, from Ossi Peltola over the course of this qualification session and the weekend as he generally gets to grips with the car better. So this is number one, Vladimiras Joitsis, still pushing as hard as he possibly can. He's had a really solid season, has Joitsis. Hasn't had a win as yet so far this year. He's had 3 second places, a couple of thirds, a fourth, a couple of fifths. And only once this year as he finished outside of the top 10, actually, Vladimiras Joitsis. So he has had a really, really solid season and lies third in the championship standings, 24 points off the championship lead. Joitsis over the start-finish line. And that lap that he did was a 1 minute 42.039, which is his best of the session so far. So Joitsis second quickest, improving the time but not improving the position. He needs to go 9/10 of a second quicker if he wants to catch Tobias Dauenhauer. Oh, that's following him around on the track is the number 7 Martin Dubek, driven Ford by the look of things. So there's Joitsis. I think Dubek has backed off the lap actually this time through. Dubek is 5th quickest. Martin Dubek's had 4 wins so far this year. He lies 2nd in the championship standings. Joitsis, what can he do on this lap? So down the straight up towards Zorati, onto the brakes and in towards the left-hander, which flows instantly up towards Trinche. And then from there it's round and in towards Semaforo. So the right-hander, be gentle with the throttle on exit, make sure you get the car all the way from the left of the circuit right the way over to the right, because you've got Torrentino as the next of the corners, which comes up really, really quickly. And then from there, feed the throttle in, let the car run wide and try and straighten up the S's as much as you can. You can see him using all of the curb on entry, using all of the apex curb, both through the left and the right. He'll use all of the exit curb as well to see, not quite all of the exit curb, so a bit more to come there if he wants. It looks a reasonably neat and tidy lap, actually. Justin Kuntz, in the meantime, in the wheel of the number 22 DF1 Racing Chevy, has gone 3rd quickest with a 1:42.213. Joitsis over the start-finish line. Does he go any quicker? No is the answer. Slower lap from Vladimiras Joitsis by 0.3 of a second. But now Navi Talor moves back up into 3rd place. I think Justin Kuntz's lap probably disappeared. Yeah, he's dropped down to 9th all of a sudden, Justin Kuntz. So I think his lap time was removed. Yeah, the lap he did was a 1 minute 42.2. As you can see on the screen there, the best that's showing is a 1 minute 43.5. So the lap time he did was beyond circuit limits, and therefore it's been removed. So he's got it all to do again as Justin Kuntz. Now this is Advait Dioda. Big lock brakes from Advait Dioda. Snatched the brakes heading in towards the corner, got off them again, so the wheel kept rotating. I don't think it ever really stopped rotating, but that was a big old puff of smoke from the Brands Hatch race winner, Advait Dioda, who lies 5th in the championship standings coming into this weekend. 50 points off the lead of the race at the wheel of his number 56 Cal Racing Ford Mustang. So he claimed his first career win also this year at Brands Hatch, but he's had 2nd place. That was at Most in the Czech Republic. Brands, yes, he won the first race of the weekend, but he was 3rd in the 2nd race of the weekend. Those have been his 3 podium spots so far this year. He's had, I think, 4 finishes outside of the top 10, so it's not always quite gone to plan for Advait Dioda. But on the whole, year after year after year, he keeps improving and moving forwards, to Advait. So for next year, if he's back with us, he could be a force to be reckoned with, I would have thought. So in towards the braking area for Roma. Final corner, hugging that curb, as we heard from Vittorio Garelli, that you need to do. Use the banking, helps rotate the car round through the corner, keeps the grip, allows you to get a good exit to finish the lap that he's on. And as he heads through and over the start-finish line, didn't quite work again for Dioda. Let's have a quick look at that lock brake again. Yeah, the wheel, you can see him cadence braking, so the wheel was, I think, always rotating, so won't have done the Hoosier tyre a great deal of good, but it could have been far worse, really. So for Advait Dioda, he needs to try and improve here. Only 15th quickest. 1 minute 44.971 from Advait is not at all what he would want. That was the last lap that he did that was the quickest. There's the number 54 car, which is Ariano Casoli. Ariana is leading the Lady Trophy. which is a separate trophy for any females that we've got on the grid. Herself and Elina Leubniger fighting over that throughout the course of this season. It's been a good battle actually between the two of them, between Ariana Castley and Elina Leubniger. They are largely matching each other for pace at most circuits and have been involved in some great battles actually, including last time out at Zolder. We saw a great fight between the pair of them where positions changed, and then sadly there was an incident and Ariana had to retire. But we've had some really strong battles between Elina Leubniger in her rookie season and Ariana Castley, who's now very much an old hand really. She was a ladies champion back in 2016. She finished runner-up in 17 and 18. She was back to being the ladies champion in 2019 and was the legend champion last year, where she finished 11th in the overall standings. Where is she at the moment? She is 16th overall in the standings. So Tobias Downhauer still comfortably in the lead of this qualification session at the moment. You can see there, the only driver to dip into the 1:41 second bracket, and he's a long way into it as well, whereas Vladimir Choitsis is knocking on the door of getting into the 1:41s, but is still about 9/10 of a second shy of beating the provisional pole position time at this stage. Justin Kuntz, Nave Talor, Martin Dubec and Francesco Garisto wrap up the top 6, with Levi Lintercantu, Max Lancer, Simon Palat and Alberto Panebianco completing the top 10 at this stage. So Lancer out for another lap. He's circulating behind his Cal Racing teammate, which is Ariana Castley. Oh, and Max Lancer runs wide coming out of the final corner, so that will slow his pace towards the start-finish line on the lap he's completing, and also slow it at the start of the next lap. So that was exactly what he didn't need to do there, I'm afraid. There's Paolo Valeri at the wheel of the number 8 car. He is inside the top 12 at the moment, 1:43.807 being his best of the session so far. Last lap he did was a slowish lap. But for Paolo Valeri, he would like to try and work his way further up through the order if he can. 17th in the standings, Paolo. Didn't do the round at Brands Hatch in the UK, but we've seen him at every other round so far this year. So back towards Ariana Castley. 20th quickest at the moment, 1:53.072. And with Ariana, the last lap she did was a little bit slower because of course she had to blend out of the throttle and let Max Lancer through. Looks neat and tidy so far, I've got to say. I can't see Elina Leubniger. Now, she was issued on the entry list for this weekend, but she has not done a lap as yet. So, and I don't think, yeah, she did a lap in free practice yesterday, but I don't think we've seen the number 12 car out on track in this session so far. There's 11 minutes to go. So, is there a problem with the number 12 which is preventing it from joining the session, or is she just saving the tyres for quite late on? Don't know is the honest answer. We'll have to wait and see. So this is Martin Dubec looking to try and work his way up from 5th on the grid at the moment. Remember, Martin briefly led the championship at the beginning of the season after back-to-back wins in the opening 2 rounds at Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Spain, Valencia. He claimed a further win at Grobnik in the first of the 2 races there, and won last time out in the second of the 2 races at Zolder. He's only 3 points off the championship lead, Tobias Downhauer, but at the moment isn't quite hooking the laps together. 5th quickest, 1:42.561 for Martin Dubec. And that lap was a little bit slower again. So Martin Dubec needs to get on with it here, up towards the braking area for Chimney 1 and Chimney 2. Looks as though he's pushing hard there. Didn't run the car out as wide as others have done, but carried a lot of speed through the corner, and then flicking his way through the left-hander and down the big long straight. This is the new section to the circuit that was put in about 15 years ago now. Champignano in towards the braking area for the right-hand hairpin, and then from there, slightly shorter straight that brings you up towards the tight left-hander at Sorati. So onto the brakes, in towards the left-hander at Sorati. Looks neat and tidy again. Looks up the apex curb nicely there, gets cleanly off the corner, and then you start to head into the technical sections. So through Trincheye up towards Semaforo, which is the right-hander he's coming up to now. From there, then you're straight as soon as you turn out of Semaforo, you're up towards the even tighter left-hander at Torrentino. And then from there, that little sweep through the S's and up towards the final hairpin at Roma, that bank section that we were hearing about from Vittorio Garelli. So for Dubek, is this going to be any better than a 1 minute 42.561? He needs to improve by about 1/10 of a second to beat the time of Simon Palat, but if he improves by about 1/10 and a half, he would also better the time of Nave Talor. Have to wait and see. It's quite close, isn't it, towards the sharp end of this one, other than Tobias Downhauer, who seems to be 9/10 of a second quicker than anybody at the moment. And as Martin Dubek heads over the start-finish line, it looks as though, yet again, there is no improvement on that time. So Martin Dubek, that was a 1 minute 43.0 he did that time through, so that is slower than his best, so won't count. So Tobias Downhauer just watching all of this unfold whilst he sits rather patiently in the pit lane. When you're 9/10 of a second quicker than this car here, Vladimir Choitzis, you don't need to go out there and keep using your Hosier tyres, just save them, and that's exactly what Tobias Downhauer is doing at the moment. Choitzis this time through, is he going to improve? Is he going to get himself down into the 1 minute 41 second bracket? Now this is the driver who is currently second quickest for Academy Alex Caffey Motorsport, and is now third quickest because Simon Palat improves. Simon Palat for DF1 Racing gets into the 1 minute 41 second bracket, the number 66 car, 141.835. So for Vladimir Choitzis, not only was that lap that he did a little bit slower, I think this is the flying lap that's coming up now for Choitzis, but he's now no longer on the front row of the grid. So I think for Choitzis, that was potentially an out lap that he'd done there, looking at the time that's flashed up on the screen I'm looking at, because that was in the 1 minute 50s, the lap that he just did. So this is the important lap for Vladimir Choitzis. Sides his way past Simon Palat's car. That's the car that's just taken the front row slot away from him, that's now easing things off. And for Choitzis, as the sun glints off the bonnet of the number 1 Ford, threads his way up towards the left-hander at Sorate. So technical section coming up, where you sweep from one side of the track to the next, corner after corner after corner. And this is where the time can certainly be lost if you don't quite hook the car up onto the apexes and get cleanly off the corners. That's where you can lose a chunk of time through this technical section if the car setup isn't quite right. So important through this technical section, as it is on the fast sections as well, where you've got to get good exit speed because you carry that momentum all the way down through the next big long straight. So important the exit of Chimney 2 as well. So here comes up towards the conclusion of the lap. Simon Palat, who's taken that front row start away from him, is pushing round as well. So through comes Vladimir Choitzis, looking to improve on third on the grid. The car behind him is the car that's currently second on the grid. Choitzis over the start-finish line. Is it an improved time? Yes, it is, but doesn't improve the position. 1 minute 41.958 for Vladimir Choitzis. Improves the time and is now just a whisker away from getting himself back on the front row of the grid, because Simon Palat is on a 1 minute 41.835. So the two of them circulating almost together on track as well. 6 minutes remaining in this qualification session for EuroNASCAR 2. And Simon Palat, that car there, is second quickest at this stage. Another one of the re-liveried cars from DF1 Racing for this weekend. Simon Palat is still 7/10 of a second shy of the provisional pole time of Tobias Downhauer. He'll be probably putting his feet up and having a cup of coffee in the pit lane at the moment. He'll still be in the car though, I'm sure, ready to respond should anybody start to get close to his provisional pole time. Remember, it was a clean sweep for Tobias Downhauer at this circuit last year as well. Pole in both races, fastest lap in both races, race win in both races, and at the moment the German is maintaining that stranglehold that he's had at this venue. 5 minutes of the session to go. Number 66 car of Simon Palat is matching for pace Vladimir Choitzis through both the first and the second sectors, so there's not a great deal to choose between either, and Choitzis was a little bit quicker through the first and the second sectors. What's Simon Palat going to do behind him? He is a little bit slower through the first two sectors, but very slightly quicker through the third sector. I think Choitzis will set a quicker lap time here than Simon Palat, but is it going to be good enough to get himself back on the front row of the grid? The answer to that is yes, it is. Vladimir Stoicis does improve his time, and that means that he now goes back onto the front row of the grid with a 1 minute 41.470 for Vladimir Stoicis. And Simon Palat also improved his time, 1 minute 41.695, but lost a place on the grid in reality. So it's the Bayernhauer from Stoicis, Palat from Justin Kuntz, Francesco Garisto from Nave Talor, and then it's Martin Dubek, Livy Lintecantu, Max Lancer, and Pierluigi Veronese is back inside the top 10 again now at the wheel of the Double V Racing number 27 Ford. So here's Panebianco. He's dropped down to 12th position now at the wheel of the Not Only Motorsport number 89 Chevy. Another driver that's at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, the 24-year-old Italian. So again, there'll be plenty of support for him. Did 4 NASCAR races last year, all of them at the final super speed weekend at Valencia. Former single-seater and kart racer was Alberto Panebianco. But for the number 90 Not Only Motorsport car, 1 minute 43.362 from him is still his best lap. It's very slightly slower last time through, not by much, only by thousandths of a second. So we've still got Stoicis and Simon Palat pushing on. Both of them still taking more life out of their very limited Hoosier tyres that we'll have for the weekend. Sector times this time through. Simon Palat is on a good one this time through, so I would watch this number 66 car because he could get himself back onto the front row of the grid. Here comes Stoicis over the start-finish line. Is he going to improve his time? Is he going to hang on to a front row start? Well, through goes Stoicis, through goes Palat. And Vladimir Stoicis was no quicker. Simon Palat did improve his time, but still remains third quickest, 1 minute 41.631 for Simon Palat. I think that time through is his best of the session so far. It still was not sufficient to try and overhaul the 0.2 of a second gap between himself and Vladimir Stoicis to get himself onto the front row of the grid, whilst Tobias Downhauer still sits patiently in the pit lane, 2.5 minutes to go, saving his tyres, ready for the racing later on today. Now the race for the EuroNASCAR 2 drivers comes up, the stream goes live Central European summertime, 16:20 or 10:20 Eastern Daylight Time if you're watching in the US. That's when we'll see these cars out for their first race of the weekend. For Tobias Downhauer, it's certainly looking as though he's done all he needed to do in this session. He's only done 6 laps, the pole sitter, in this session. So he really is saving the tyres, whereas the likes of Vladimir Stoicis and Simon Palat are in double figures now. This is lap number 11 for Simon Palat. It's lap number 14 for Stoicis. So 10 laps, almost more, they have done in this session. And Simon Palat's sector times again, it's just not going to happen for him on this lap. Not bad through the second sector, but is it going to be good enough? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure the sector times are good enough. Let's wait and see as he heads over the start-finish line. Final sector might decide it for Simon Palat. He's been pushing hard. He goes quicker again, but still misses out on a front row start. 1 minute 41.555 that time through, so shaves another 1/10 of a second off it. And now he's on to the final roll of the dice if he wants to stick with it on this lap. Looks as though Vladimir Stoicis also slowed up on that lap and is now having one further push as well to see whether he's got anything left in reserve in the tank. As they head out of Chimney 1 and Chimney 2, Palat pulls out of the way. Did that delay Vladimir Stoicis? Simply don't know. Now, the quick sector time for Stoicis will be down in the 13 seconds through the first sector and down in something like a 35 seconds for the second sector, 34. Have to wait and see. So we can discount any further improvement for Simon Palat. So at best, the number 66 car in the hands of the young Belgian driver is going to line up third on the grid. What can Stoicis do, though? Can he overhaul 0.3 of a second deficit to Tobias Downhauer? Bearing in mind, he is now on his 15th lap of this qualification session, whereas the pole sitter has still only done 6. Another driver we haven't seen much of, and is clearly saving tyres, is Zolder winner Nave Talor, who's 7th quickest, but has only done 7 laps in the session. Advait Gioda, 13th quickest, but has only done 6 laps as well. So I do wonder if some of the teams maybe are compromising starting positions to try and make sure they've got sufficient life in the Hoosier tyres, to which they are so limited over the course of the weekend. Some events you get 2 brand new tyres, other events you get 4 brand new tyres. subject to where you are in the championship season. So into the pit lane comes Simon Palat. Checkered flag goes out. Vladimiris Joitsis has gone over the start-finish line and did not improve by the look of things. So I don't think there was going to be an improvement for Joitsis. So looks as though the grid is almost set now. Still a few cars out there on flying laps, absolutely, but certainly looks as though Tobias Downhauer is at it again, really, as he did last year here at Autodromo de Vallelunga, claiming a pole position in the qualification session, which he converted into a race win and set the fastest lap. So he started from pole the next day, converted that into a win and set the fastest lap again. So far, it is a 100% record in every category for Tobias Downhauer, including that qualification session. So is he taking a step closer to the title? Well, no points for qualifying. Pole position means nothing if you don't convert it into good championship points, and that's exactly what he will be hoping to do. Nice to see the fans back this weekend. Free ticketing, there are still limits on the number of spectators, such as the regulations in Italy at the moment, so we're still limited to the amount of spectators that can come in, but to encourage more to come, it is free ticketing for them this weekend. So we are looking forward to seeing more and more fans heading in towards Autodromo Vallelunga over the course of this weekend. So let's guide you through the times, then we're going to grab a quick word with our pole sitter shortly, but let's just guide you through the times and in theory the way they'll line up for the EuroNASCAR 2 race later on this afternoon. Tobias Downhauer was quickest and starts from pole, 1 minute 41.135. Second quickest is number 1, which is Vladimiris Joitsis with a 1 minute 41.470. Third quickest was Simon Palat, and fourth quickest was Francesco Garisto. Fifth quickest, Justin Kuntz, ahead of sixth, Martin Dubeck, and seventh place was Nave Talor. Eighth place, Levi Lintecantu, Max Lancer and Pierluigi Veronesi will complete the top 10. Alberto Panabianco was in 11th place, ahead of Leonardo Colavito, who was 12th. Advait Tioda, only 13th, yet he lies 5th in the championship standings, so work to be done for Advait come the race, and Yevgen Sokolovsky will join him on that 7th row of the grid. Then it was Paolo Valeri who was next up, but that's all I can bring you because already the timing screens have been removed as the cars are being pushed back into their garages. But hopefully we will be able to grab a quick word with our pole sitter Tobias Downhauer and gauge his thoughts on what so far has been a good weekend for him. He was fastest in free practice yesterday. He has just qualified on pole position, and come this afternoon's EuroNASCAR 2 race, he will be starting on only his second visit to the circuit. He'll be starting his third EuroNASCAR race from pole position. 3 out of 3 for him, and bearing in mind what he did last year with those 2 wins, 2 fastest laps, 2 pole positions, he'll be hoping that he can replicate that feat, because he is leading the championship by a very slender margin. 80 points, remember, come the racing for a race win. 70 for second, 68 for third. It goes down 2 points for every position thereafter, and Tobias Downhauer leads the championship by just 3 single points coming into the finals weekend. It's time to head down there with our pole sitter.
I'm here with the EuroNASCAR 2 pole award winner and championship leader Tobias Downhauer. You and Martin Dubeck are separated by only 3 points. We have double points this weekend. Pole position for you, 6th place for Martin Dubeck. A good foundation for the race?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good foundation for the race. We had a quite good qualifying. I only did a few laps and I reached P1, so I'm very happy now. But yeah, let's focus on the race. That counts, and I try to do my best. And yeah, hopefully we will reach a good result in race 1.
Any special tactics for the first race today?
No, just keep safe and full push and try to do our best. And yeah, I'm feeling good. I like the track, and yeah, looking forward.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There we go. Not surprised, there's a big smile on the face of Tobias Downhauer. He's done exactly what he needed to do in that qualification session and qualified the number 50 Hendricks Ford that leads the championship onto pole position for our race later on today. Well, that's all from qualifying for the moment, but don't forget, we do have 2 races coming up for you today. The first of which will be the EuroNASCAR Pro race. That will be taking place. The stream will go live at 10 minutes past 1 Central European summertime. That will be fairly early, 10 past 7 Eastern Daylight Time in the US. And remember, EuroNASCAR 2 will be out on track later on today as well. It will be 16:20 Central European summertime, their race will get underway. That is slightly more palatable. 10:20 in the morning. Stay in touch with us on all of our social medias as well, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, or you can look us up on EuroNASCAR.com. But from everybody here and the EuroNASCAR team here at Autodromo Vallelunga, it's goodbye, at least for the moment. We'll catch you later on today for the racing. Goodbye.